And they know it.
Carol talking. You got Travis.
I'm just walking half to do this.
Okay, great.
All right, it is 6 o'clock. Call the meeting to order, 7 o'clock. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next up, roll call. We have the full board and super present. Gang, I've asked to make an adjustment to this. I'm going to move my Spotlight School is next up. Then we're going to move up the celebration on item F and take that up next. So we'll do celebrations right after Spotlight School and then flow back through the rest. If everybody's okay with that.
Perfect.
Right,
So with that being said, you are up, Lori, and then we'll go with Craig, and then we'll go with Dr. Miller, okay?
Well, thank you for giving us some time this evening. We've had a rather exciting day at Meadowlark. I look at her, she's trying not to cry, so then that, is a direct reflect. Miss Gina Gonzalez, if you could please stand. And Milo, thank you for coming to support. So we had a surprise celebration this morning, and Lynette and Travis, Reed were able to make it, and Superintendent Oski, we had Superintendent Dagenfeller from the State Department and Governor Gordon, and it was quite a big celebration. Gina was recognized as one of 2 RISE awardees. She has her plaque with her. This is a nationally honored award for classified staff who go above and beyond for students and staff. It's really a huge award, and to be one of 2 in the state of Wyoming speaks volumes for who you are and what you do for us. And I have to throw a funny story in for Gina. 7 years ago, my first year here, I was looking at the schedules and saw that Gina was on crosswalk duty first thing in the morning, and she was getting there at like 20 to 7, which was early, or 20 to 8, and spending extra time making sure our students and staff got across and parents got across the street safely. And I thought, well, I'm gonna give her, an opportunity to have some planned time in the morning, and I'll sub another staff member in, so she'll have to do 2 days a week. Wrong choice. Nearly took a stop sign. So I learned with Gina not to mess with her space or her territory, but she is out there every single morning, and it doesn't matter what the weather is. I have probably gotten more compliments, phone, email, and in person from just the community parents on her friendliness and tolerance of great driving practices first thing in the morning. But Gina also serves a really important role with our interventions, and also covers the majority of our lunch recess. She is, no one argues with her at lunch recess, including the kids or me. So appreciate everything that you do. And you're just amazing, and your service to the district is outstanding. So you are well deserved of that award. Thank you. I just wanted to thank all of you school board members and the district at large for the time I've served, anticipating this being my last board report and board meeting. in the 7 years I've been here. It's been amazing. I've grown personally and professionally and really enjoyed my time, so thank you.
Well, thank you for your service. You've been good.
All right, so next celebration, I'm going to turn it over to Kelsey Warren. She's got a really cool kid that she's going to introduce to you guys. And if you're lucky, he might have a daily joke for you.
So I've got Mr. Carson McGee here with me, and before I tell you why we're here, we would just like to take a moment to thank you guys. A lot of school districts around the state no longer support Special Olympics. Ours is one that still does. So we really thank you for that financial support and for letting us go out, letting our athletes compete the way we do. So thank you. So why we're here? Ready? Okay. In early April, we went up to Sheridan and we competed in what we call our area games, kind of like a regionals. They select the most inspirational athlete out of your area, and they then go on and they get to compete for a state award. So we roll on to early May, and we went to Gillette when our Unified Special Olympics team competed in Gillette, and Carson was our area games nominee for the whole area, and he got to compete Friday night for the most inspirational Special Olympic Athlete Award for 2025, and Carson was selected as the 2025 Special Olympics Most Inspirational Athlete for the year. So, congratulations.
It overwhelming, I'm sure.
Well done, bud. Thank you.
Chris, thanks for bringing him in.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Dr. Miller, are you up next?
I think so.
Yes, please.
So we have Mr. Ferris tonight, who just got back from Riverton with the Ride celebration. He was able to present with his colleague, Amy Pearson. He thinks he's going to be presenting tonight. He's not. Instead, we're awarding you the Teacher of the Year. Craig's been with you for many years as your principal, is also with Maggie. This is her first go around. If they want to tell a story or anything or share anything about.
I guess just
Mr.
real
Ferris.
quick, and I'll let Maggie talk, but I had the honor of working with Billy for a long time, and I just have always compared him to E.F. Hutton. And so for those of you guys that are old enough to know, when E.F. Hutton speaks, people listen.
Yeah.
Billy doesn't speak a whole lot. He doesn't speak very loud, but when he does, people pay attention. So.
Yes, so this is my first year as Billy's principal. I didn't know this was happening. Dr. Miller, you could have given me a heads up. But this is just amazing. I cannot think of a more deserving teacher in our district to be awarded this honor. But before as principal, I worked on the 4th grade team with Billy for many, many years. And just to kind of piggyback off what Craig said, it's not really what he says, but it's what he does, and he leads by example. And I'll tell you what, before he was a 4th grade teacher, he had been a 3rd grade teacher and a 1st grade teacher, and I was like a 5th grade teacher, and you don't want to be the teacher that a kid has after they have Mr. Ferris. Because I'll tell you what, nothing ever compares, and he's very humble, and he would never admit that, but I mean, that kid said it to me. Straight up. You know, so, congratulations. I'm very proud of you.
Unless you want to talk about the ride.
We punished him and presented him once already. You don't have to go again unless you want to.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much.
So I would like to extend that though. So on my behalf as the superintendent of the district, what you're doing with Mr. Evans and what you're doing with the ride is also what we heard is already happening in the classroom. So part of that work is going to change not only hopefully what we do here, but what we do statewide. So kudos to you on my behalf. Because it's not easy. It's not like it just takes a few minutes here or there, and it's not stress-free. There's still that accountability piece. So conversations, Mr. Ferris, we've been able to have in my 4 years here, lots of respect for you. You're very transparent, which I appreciate. But I think the conversations that come from you are from the heart and what's best for kids. So I appreciate it, and I think this is an honor and well-deserved, so thank you.
I just say thank you to all of you guys, and it's pretty humbling to look around the room.
So great.
I mean, there are people far more qualified for this than me. I mean, there's some incredible people in our district. And as far as the ride goes, thank you for the opportunity to do that, because Wyoming's at the cutting edge of something amazing, or Johnson County is at the cutting edge of something fantastic. And there were about 260 teachers, business leaders, admin, governors, state superintendent. And just to think that little Johnson County's like at the forefront of this is pretty exciting. So thank you for the support. I think we're just starting to get the ball rolling, and it's going to be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just on a funny note, walking in, he goes, I just came out of practice. I'm not really dressed for this. It's fine. It's all right. Travis, we're ready to roll.
Okay. So next up, we've got school board vacancies appointments to fill out, and then we'll administer the oath of office. So to start off with, we want to kind of focus on our mission statement, empowering all students to thrive, and our vision statements, where we're united in cultivating an excellence. For the new board members coming and applying, we hope you guys have read through that, have a good feel for what we're trying to do, and this is something you can get into and back up. So we're welcoming all of you. Thank you for applying. We appreciate the broad field and great candidates. The way I want to run this tonight is we'll just have a very short candidate forum. I'll give each candidate 2 to 3 minutes to answer the following question. Give the board a brief introduction to allow us to put a name with each face, then tell us about any special skills or talents you bring to the board. Finally, tell us about your position on the ESAs, educational savings accounts, and the up to $7,000 per student, and the concealed carry soon to be permitted in public spaces, including our schools. So that'll be our opening one. I've got one more. We'll just start alphabetically, if I solved it right. Angela Fissett is next, or first up.
Hi, I'm Angela Fissett. I guess a little bit about myself is I come with a management background, so pretty good at dealing with other people, managing other things, but my passion is for the kids. We should all be in it for the kids, no matter what direction they're going in, whether it's college, trade school, athletics. I just want our teachers and our schools to be focused again on all of the kids.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on the educational savings accounts? Is that anything you've read up or studied on?
I haven't really, so I'm not gonna.
We're gonna push that later tonight. Somebody's gonna teach us more about it.
Okay.
And then the other one was the concealed carry. It will be permitted in schools starting in July. Am I right, Charles?
It becomes state law July 1st.
July 1st.
So I followed that a little bit. I would like to see it more at the local level. I believe like our local law enforcement, that shouldn't be statewide, right? It shouldn't be one blanket law. I believe it should be more in the hands of like each school district, because it's different. Definitely some training, no matter what direction they go, and working with the schools, working with our local law enforcement.
Is there anything else that the letter didn't cover or I haven't asked yet?
I don't think so.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Katie Engling.
I'm Katie Engling. A little bit about my background. So I taught early childhood for 12 years in a variety of different settings, from in-home daycares to different like daycares. I've also taught preschool, was where most of my background came in. When I moved to Buffalo, I finished my bachelor's degree in elementary education, and then I have worked in the school district in both Cloud Peak and at Meadowlark. So for me, it's personal in the way that I care for both the teachers and the students here. This is my home. I care deeply. And so I recently moved into marketing. I went back to school, got my master's degree in marketing. I work at the hospital now, and so one of the things that has been really cool that I have gotten to be a part of is continuing to partner with the school and get to do a lot of different initiatives with the hospital supporting the school. And so although I stepped away from the teaching side of it, I still very much care about the students and I care about the teachers and it being a great place to raise our kids. As far as the ESSA savings account, I'll be completely transparent. I'm not familiar with it, but would be eager to learn more. And as far as the open carry, I know a little bit about it just because we're dealing with it as far as the hospital goes as well, because that's going to also affect us. And so my role in that is how do you roll that out and make it palatable to make sure that everybody understands what is happening with that. So. Is there any other questions that you guys have?
Not right now. Anything you want to tell us that you haven't?
What did I think of?
All right, next up, I've got, help me with this name, I'll pronounce it wrong. Tamitha Graben. Knew I'd love that, sorry.
Most people do, as long as you get the first few letters of it, that's all I'm worried about. Well, I'm Tamitha Graben, and I've been a business owner of 3 nationwide businesses for 25 years. So I have a lot of experience in management and operations and budgeting and the whole shebang. So, and I really love marketing, and I really just love working with people. And so I think I've really learned a lot through all the experience that I've had, all the hard decisions I've had to make, all the great decisions I've had to make, has really I've just learned a lot working with people. And my passion is being able to connect and work with people and come up with a solution that works for both people. So I would say my skills are definitely people and making things better. I'm very good at strategic solutions. I've had to come up with a lot in my history of business, and I've enjoyed seeing the outcomes of just putting things together and creating a plan and making it happen. So I would say that those are my strengths. I've had a lot of experience, and I've had 2 daughters that have gone through the school district, and I've been very involved with the business, the technology part. I'm part of the Perkins board. And then I was a substitute school nurse a long time ago in the district, which was really fun to get to work with all the teachers and get to know them and see a little bit how the schools work. I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity, and I hope where I'm at that I can be part of a team in making things happen, because I really believe that our children are our future, and I feel that what we give into them now sets them up for life. And okay, so then I'm going to go on the bank account thing. I didn't see that question, so I don't know anything about it. But the gun control, I really believe whatever is best for the safety of the children is what policy will be made. You know, I mean, children first. So that's it.
Very good, thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Next up, I've got Ray Klein. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. To be in a position like this, it's all about the students and the teachers too. The goal is to have the best we can have for Johnson County, the students who excel, and they have the best teachers in Johnson County also. A little bit of my background, I've done all kinds of things. I was a law enforcement park ranger in Yosemite, but I did nature talks to the children and stuff. And I'm a member of the LEPC, people familiar with that in Johnson County? It's Local Emergency Planning Commission. And I work with the mayor and the sheriff and everybody to make sure Johnson County is a safe place to live. And we're prepared if there's an emergency here, because the schools are gonna be a shelter, because I'm the Red Cross representative for Johnson and Sheridan County. And, you know, I've worked shelters. And I've worked with a lot of the people in the shelters, like in Los Angeles, where I was there for the fires. They're street people, drug addicts, homeless people, but you treat those people with respect and dignity. And you wouldn't believe how they react to your kindness. And for the concealed carry, well, you know, I collect guns and I know a lot about guns. I've been in law enforcement and I work with children. Whoever is designated to carry in a school should be trained for that. Not everybody should be bringing their guns to school. It should be just designated people that are trained. You'd be surprised how many churches have people in there with concealed carry. Because no gun zone. The bad guys believe those signs. They ignore those, just like the no drug zone. And you know, that's another thing. We should educate the children about the dangers of drugs in our community, because I've seen what the drugs will do by working in these shelters with all these homeless people. And we had this one person in there that was, he called himself the top bum of Reno. And he was a heroin addict. And we treated him kind. And we contacted the local church. And what happened is the church talked to him, and he started crying that we paid attention and we cared about him. So the church was bringing him a car, and he was straightening his life out. So that's what I'm here for.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Next up, I've got Crystal Smith.
Hello, everyone. I'm Crystal Smith.
Good evening.
I've been a nurse for 20 years, 17 in Johnson County. I'm approaching this adventure with, I would say, some respect and mindfulness. There's a lot going on. My nature is a fixer. I'm a critical thinker. I'm a think outside the box kind of girl. I've done a lot of work with operations, heavy operations, the last 8 years of my profession, working with tight budgets. In my mind, the hospitals and schools are they run parallel. We have to do big things on little budgets, and we have to do it safely. I don't have a lot to say about the ESA funding, sorry. I can't think until I make it on that one. And as for guns in the school, you know, my dad, he's a concealed carrier. So I believe in guns. I believe in keeping the students and the teachers and the staff safe, whatever that looks like.
That's good for now. Thanks. Okay, and Katrina Thomas.
Thomas. I've worked in healthcare for a little over 20 years. So I've worked with a lot of people, a lot of different people. So that's why I thought maybe the school board would be a good place. My son is special needs, and so I've worked a lot with the programs in the schools, along with special needs also. I the only things I really know, or I guess I feel about these not the health savings account, the educational savings accounts, is that I hope that it does not take away from our public schools, because I really feel like public school is important. I've worked with a lot of CNAs and nurses that have been homeschooled individuals, and they're great individuals, but I always have felt like there's a connection that's missing. And the gun laws, my husband is a concealed carry, but I don't believe that they belong in the school unless there's some teachers or principal or somebody that is specifically trained in that large of an area with our children.
Very good. Okay, we'll go now the reverse order, so if you'll just hang out, you get to start the next round. Yay, huh? Okay.
We need to see you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's okay.
All right, had you run for election in November, what would your platform have included? And what do you wish to accomplish during your term of service with the board?
Hopefully to bring the students and the teachers together and or the community and our teachers, and to try to help them be on the same page.
Did you have platform things that you felt like people would like to know?
I don't know, I came from a big city. I really enjoyed the small town school. I think there's a lot more to offer, and
All right, thank you. Okay, Crystal, round two.
Do not have a platform or an agenda.
Okay.
I'm here as a teammate and to dig in with you. There's a lot of work that's coming your way. I get it. I'm willing to jump in the trenches and do do the things that need to be done. That's what it comes down to, really. I know that you guys spend a lot of time, energy, and this role takes some perseverance. I'm with you. I'm here if you're ready. I'm here with an open heart and open mind. That's it.
Ray, you're up. And happy to repeat the question if anybody would like.
Well, first, my agenda would be doing the best I can possibly do to serve the community of Johnson County and the school district and the students and the teachers. And I'd learn, because I've never done this before, and I'd learn and listen. If you don't learn and listen, then you don't learn.
Very true.
Is there any other question?
Anyone? That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tamitha, please.
Well, if I would have ran in November, I would say that a couple of things that are really important to me are technology. I really believe that as we watch, we're moving from the industrial age into the technology age. And so I believe getting our children prepared to be the most successful they can be when they leave our place is important. And so that would definitely be one of my agendas. Also business, I feel like everything we do is a business, like even being a mom is a business. And so I think giving kids those kind of skills are very important as well. Everything is management, everything is operations. If you look at it in a different way, like everything we do does that. And then so that would probably be my platform. I'm very passionate about that. I work in e-commerce businesses, so I work with people all day long in technology. And I just see, I work with a lot of young kids that are just killing it out there. And I think giving our kids the skills to do that, to survive and be successful in life is important. And then also, I was going to say something that's really important and I think would make me a great teammate is I'm very flexible as well. I have a lot of time to shift my schedule around to be available, and I'm working for myself. So
I think that's it.
Thank you. Katie, please.
So, ironically enough, I had actually considered running in November. However, I missed the cutoff by like 2 days. So that was on me for not paying better attention. So I jumped at the opportunity when this position came available. And really for me, it's, I feel like I have a unique perspective of, I have the educational background, right? I've seen what the inner workings of not only school districts look like, but especially this one. I've also had children go through our school district. But on the flip side of that, so I know the inner workings of what it's like to be on the other side. But now I also have the business acumen to go with it, right? Part of what I do at the hospital is I have a very tight budget, is that I have to make a lot of quick decisions very fast. Something that intrigues me a lot about this role is the ability to learn. And so, no, I don't know about the ESSA savings account or exactly the ins and outs of the gun control, or not gun control, excuse me, open carry. However, I love learning and digging into those kinds of policies. That makes my heart happy. So what I really see this role as, and I guess the platform that I would have ran on, was that I see myself as a bridge between both the community and the schools themselves.
Okay. And Angela, if you will finish this off, please.
So I think the platform I would have ran on is that word excellence, right? We need to raise the bar in Johnson County and hold our kids and our teachers accountable. That way, if we are the top of Johnson County and they know that we're excellent, and the kids, the teachers, the board members, we all buy into that, they don't have an option to go anywhere else, right? They don't need to homeschool, they don't need to go to Sheridan, they don't need to go to Cody, because we are excellent and we're striving to be the best and pushing our kids, no matter what their goals in life are.
Thank you. Okay, you've had a chance to review the letters of interest. You've heard the candidates answer questions. We'll open it up for nominations.
Mr. Chair.
Please.
I nominate Kristen Smith.
Okay.
Chair.
Please.
I nominate Tamitha Graven.
Got it.
Mr. Chair, I would nominate Mrs. Bissett.
Okay. Other nominations?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to nominate Mrs. Engel.
Okay. Anybody else got any nominations? Hearing none, we'll move to the procedure outlined in this document we're looking at. That procedure will be, each board member sitting will have 2 votes. We've got 2 chairs to fill. We get 1 vote for each. I will tally them. I will have Heidi check me and count this and make sure I don't blow it when I tally them. I should have made you do it. You're good at that.
I can barely count. What are you talking about?
Anyway, so everybody's got 2 votes this first round. We end up with 2 clear people with the most votes. That will finish it. If we end up with a tie, we will go into the next procedure.
So Travis, if I can for just a minute, I want to thank everybody for applying. We've never had this many people of this high a quality, and so if you don't get in, please run at the next election. Like I say, we need you.
I'll piggyback on that.
Yeah.
We need some help on the rec board. Anybody
that too.
feels that, we need some help on the rec board too.
So Travis, as a chair, just as superintendent, I think we're very fortunate to have 6 quality people that are willing to show up and actually even be put in a forum tonight and answer questions. So that is unique around the state. So kudos to them, and I would strongly suggest what Dave just said also. In order for us to be strong as a community, we have to have community involvement, not only at the local school board level, but we also have to have people very active at the state level, because education is facing some huge challenges. So a strong board is going to help with some of those hard decisions. And I'm just going to be honest, hard decisions are coming. So an active and a strong board can do a lot of things, not only for our district, but for the state. So kudos to everybody that's here tonight, so thank you.
Okay, board questions or comments on the procedure to vote? 2 votes each, fill 2 chairs.
Mr. Chair, I got a question.
Please.
So just to clarify, we're not giving you nays, we're just giving you a.
Correct. I just need ayes. Please hold your hand up long enough to make sure I've got the count, but ayes only.
So Travis, I'd recommend the ayes with the hand raised.
Yes, please, everybody with the hand raised so I can count them very slowly. Okay, everybody good? All in favor of adding Crystal to the board, please raise your hand. Okay. Eddie, I made that count 3. Of course, can I borrow for a second?
Sure.
The diploma's got me, Charles, you're right. Okay, all in favor of Tamitha, please. All in favor of Tamitha. Okay. I made that 3 again. Angela. In favor of Angela. Okay. And all in favor of Katie. In favor of Katie, please. All right. Katie may take a seat. Okay, we've got a runoff. Crystal and Tamitha. 1 vote each. 2 people left. We'll go the other way this time. All in favor of Tamitha, signify by raising hand. 4. I assume all in favor of Crystal's the other 3? Okay, Tamitha, please take your seat. Thank you, everybody, for your time and effort. Katie and Tamitha, I will have you guys, don't take a seat, stand here. We'll get through this oath of office, and then we'll take the seats.
You mean, this is England. Sorry, it's okay. We knew what you meant.
I read my little floppy tally sheet for it, as far as 3 of me. All right, you guys want to copy this just so you know what I'm getting into?
Yeah.
Take a second, read that up, I will too. Okay,
Tell us what to do, Travis, okay?
raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Tamitha Graven,
Do solemnly swear that I will support
solemnly swear that I will support
the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
the state of Wyoming,
the state of Wyoming,
and the Johnson County School District No. 1 policies.
and the Johnson County School District No. 1 policies. I'm sorry.
We got that.
Okay.
That I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity,
That I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity,
that I have not knowingly violated any law of the state of Wyoming
that I have not knowingly violated any law of the state of Wyoming
relating to my election or appointment,
relating to my election or appointment,
or caused it to be done by others,
or caused it to be done by others,
and that I will faithfully execute the duties of my office
and that I will faithfully execute the duties of my office
as a member of the governing body to the best of my ability.
as a member of the governing body to the best of my ability.
Thank you very much. Take your seats, please. Okay, now let me get caught up.
Welcome to board members.
Yes, thank you, welcome. Celebrations, covenant, spotlights. Okay, next up.
Separate to the agenda.
Yes, you guys have copies of the agenda before you. Accept the motion to accept the agenda, or we can modify if needed.
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
We've got a motion from Marcia, a second from to accept the agenda as presented. All in favor, discussion from the board. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, agenda's good. Next up, we've got AI presentation. Andrew, please.
Andrew, you are up with your team.
Sounds great. Maybe if you need help with anything, I'll see it.
Yes, we're glad to stop
Share,
for questions.
share.
Anything you need, just holler and we will
Thank you
get
so
that.
much.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
Usually I'm freezing here. I'm looking.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, distinguished board members. Congratulations to the two newly elected board members, educators, administrators, and Johnson County stakeholders. My name is Andrew Lai. I'm based out of Rapid City, South Dakota, and I'm the lead AI learning specialist for Compass, which is a cooperative which specializes in professional development. I had the pleasure of working with an incredible group of teacher leaders as well as administrators over the last about 8 to 9 months. We learned more about artificial intelligence, what it is, how it works, and started some conversations about its role here in Johnson County. We also looked at drafting some initial guidance for Johnson County with how to approach AI integration. If you were a part of this AI leadership team, I'd like you to please stand up and be recognized for your contributions. Did you know that 70% of high school students this last year used AI in the classroom? 70%. 67% of educators nationwide used AI to support them with lesson planning and school-related tasks. AI is here, it's here to stay, and there's really only two options. Option one is embrace and educate on this technology, but how to use it responsibly, ethically. Or option two is ban it and combat it and reject it. It became crystal clear that, at least in our working group, the Johnson County approach should be to start educating and embracing this technology rather than banning it. In October of last year, a group of teacher leaders and district administrators participated in a full-day workshop on AI for educators. This workshop helped establish a foundational understanding of AI. We looked at some use case demonstrations as to how it can enhance teaching and learning. We also talked about some of the ethical considerations that come with AI integration. There's many opportunities and challenges with this technology. AI can support educators in lesson planning, resource creation. It can save them hours of time per week, but what are they using that time for is really a question we need to start considering. How is that time being reallocated? Students can use AI as a personal tutor to help them understand difficult concepts, generate study guides based off of class content, and walk them through the process of learning. AI tutors don't provide students with answers. They simply walk students through the process of learning. There are AI platforms that can be used for good and as a way to not shortcut the learning process. Specifically, during our previous 8 months, we met virtually over Zoom and talked about the current state of AI, research on AI in education, and started looking at what a potential approach to AI for Johnson County could look like that's tailored guidance for staff, students, and parents. We also started talking about what professional development and upskilling Johnson County staff could look like. Specifically, we believe that Johnson County should commit to the following 5 things when it comes to AI. Embracing and educating on AI use, establishing procedures to ensure safe and ethical use of AI across the district, upskill teachers, and equip them with the necessary training and tools to confidently use this important technology. create a structured scope and sequence to guide AI education at every level, and set clear and actionable goals to continue moving innovation forward. Just this past March, our team sent out a district-wide survey, and the results of that survey can be found in your board report. We received 65 responses. The goal of this survey was to establish a baseline and to really use this data to shape a potential vision for professional development. What do staff need here at Johnson County? Theme one from that data was that staff, for the most part, feel uninformed, but they're curious and open to learning about AI. Many are concerned about academic integrity issues with AI, and that is the top concern that needs to be addressed. And lastly, there is a clear desire for AI guidance, some kind of framework to refer to, and they also preferred in-person professional development and access to resources that they can turn to learn more about AI. Informed by this data, our team began drafting AI guidelines, which you can find on pages 14 through 22 of your documents. This is first and foremost a flexible document. It is an evolving document, and it needs to be revisited quite often because AI, the advancements in AI right now are exponential. And it's stressful. It's like a fire hose being pointed at you every day. I do this for a living and I can't even keep up with it. So I can't imagine how especially Johnson County educators and staff are feeling about it because it's affecting our schools. 70% of high school kids are using this. How are we going to approach it? Well, in the draft guidance that we've laid out, there is clear expectations for staff, students, and even parents as to how this technology can benefit them, as well as some ways that they can use it responsibly rather than as a shortcut to our critical thinking. We've also laid out what AI is and what it's not, the various opportunities and risks with AI in schools, and lastly, different examples of acceptable and prohibited use of AI for schoolwork. Is it okay to use ChatGPT or an AI platform to generate an outline for Ms. Sweckard's class? And in Ms. Berry's class, she would like to have the kids use ChatGPT a completely different way. We are in the wild west of AI, and expectations are all over the place. But what this document really does is it allows teachers to have that autonomy to decide if they want to incorporate AI in their classroom or not. And I think that's really what we need to do is stop controlling our teachers, rather trust that they have the resources and they're going to get the training to use these pieces of technology the right way. AI is not going away, and I really think that you as a board and leadership can set the tone for how Johnson County engages with this technology and respond with clarity, confidence, and consistency rather than fear and confusion. Looking ahead, our team really encourages Johnson County to begin piloting reputable AI tools like Magic School AI or potentially Brisk teaching. Again, these are just tools. They are not the end-all be-all. They're tools to support our educators and our students here in Johnson County. Just like a search engine, like the internet, like a calculator, just a tool. Can be used for good, can be used for bad. But how do we start exploring how to prepare our students with those future-ready skill sets? Going back to the profile of a graduate. You know, in 5-10 years, AI technology is going to continue to advance, and skills that kids are learning now are going to be obsolete. This document can allow us to continually evolve and keep up to date with AI. And how do we prepare our students to really think critically, adapt, and lead in an AI-infused world? And with that, I just open it up to any questions that you guys might have.
Did you use AI to create this?
I used AI to support the creation of that document. There's actually a disclaimer on the second page. I'm very open about my AI usage because I think it's important to attribute what's not yours. And some of this is AI assisted. But you know what? As a human, I reviewed this document. I verified that what we have in there is what we want, and it's accurate. Ultimately, human-centered AI should be of paramount importance. Humans need to be a part of this loop.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Lay, you referenced 70% of the students use AI, and in what form are they using it in schools?
Well, because not many school districts have had training on how to use this technology the right way. It's kind of like social media right now. When social media came onto the scene, there was not the proper training as to how to use it in a responsible way. Right now, majority of students are not necessarily using it in a way that doesn't shortcut the learning process. And so we need to start thinking about and equipping Johnson County staff with how to teach these students to use AI and keep humans a part of that process rather than automating tasks.
So when a student needs to do a project and they use AI, can the staff tell if it's AI generated or if it's on their own?
It depends on each educator, but I can tell you with 100% confidence, there's no AI detector, there's no plagiarism checker out there that is 100% foolproof right now, and that AI detects is by and large undetectable. And with a few alterations of text, changing a few words here and there, those AI detectors become completely inaccurate. And so the only foolproof way to combat, or if you want to say, adapt to AI use is to start revamping curriculum. How can our curriculum be either AI resistant or incorporate AI in a way that is beneficial to students?
So that's your basis probably for the comment I read in there about kids that use AI will not become critical thinkers, or
if they're not using it the right way, if they're bypassing the learning process. There's a right way to use AI, there's a wrong way to use it.
So just a clarifying question, you said that there were 65 surveys returned.
Yep.
How many were sent out? Right, and what was the sample, or like?
The sample size.
Yes, so what was the sample size and who were you
It
sending?
was sent out to all certified staff, and I don't know the number on that.
I'm
I
just
heard it
wondering
was
if 65 is 120, so 50% return rate.
about
approximately.
50%.
So not terrible return rate, okay.
Just a little bit of light reading for the next week for you guys.
Outstanding. You guys have questions?
I do.
Please.
So, in the future, because I don't see AI being obsolete, how are you saying that people, like students, are being able to use this platform to, like, not change how we've done our education, but how to improve it? I mean, how are you seeing changes in that? Because I don't think we're gonna change it, but where are you seeing other people use this in education to enhance? I mean, 'cause they're not gonna learn, they're gonna utilize the platform. I'm just trying to put it all together. How do you see it in the future with continuing education, like in the area?
Could you clarify your question?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, I know, I'm trying to figure out
Yeah,
how I want to put it.
Sure.
So this is not going away.
Yep.
How do you think we will be able to utilize it in the school districts for good?
Or good.
Yeah, I mean, because they're not going to be able to. Go ahead. Just.
Yeah, so I see the number one use case of AI technology for students being more or less a 24/7 private tutor or a personalized tutor. The more you prompt AI, the better it gets to know you. It's getting more customized to your ability. It's able to differentiate reading levels really easily for you, translate. I see it as more or less a personalized companion for every student, regardless of socioeconomic status or anything.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. And maybe Krista, you can like tie into this because I know you did a presentation like earlier. Integration into the district, I guess is maybe, I'm hoping that's kind of where you were somewhat going.
Yeah.
And then also, what is that looking like time efficiency wise? You guys as teachers, educators, all have a million things already on your plate. And I feel like this is something that is overwhelming to, like it's overwhelming for me. And I'm not trying to teach it to someone else. So what is that going to, like, what are you anticipating that kind of looking like for, because I mean, we're fluid, we need to, we need to keep going with the time and make sure that our kids are set up for success as they leave, because this is being used, one in a university, one on his way, like, this is here to stay. So what is that, what are you feeling, like, what are you guys feeling like since you guys kind of collaborated and
Andrew, do you want to go or do you want me to?
Oh, go ahead, Krista.
So, we talked about all sorts of different avenues with it. I'll stand up. Thanks. Okay, so we talked about all the different avenues with, K-12, right? So there's this huge span of what it should look like at every level, what's just like the scope and sequence. We talked about how at every level there's teachers who need to know how to use it to alleviate some things that are on their plate. It's great for differentiating. It's great for, there are lots of tools that we learn about every week that you can put in reading depth of knowledge things, you can do differentiation, you can do, what is that?
Well, and even just, Andrew just gave us a tool the other day that I took back to school instantly, and we were able to create games and passages that align with the intervention system that we're using in reading like that.
Oh, wow.
And I had it in the hands of our title teachers and the second grade, like several teachers that can use it tomorrow, like already are using it. There's just
a lot out there, but the time to find all that's out there is what's overwhelming, because it does change every day. And we met, what was it, last week, and Mr. Oski was saying how there's a AI company that's contacting about personalized learning, because that is the way that we're all looking at things. I look at trying to set all my Canvas up so my kids have access and can easily filter through the material that I give them and interact with an AI, and it can generate quiz questions. I have kids right now preparing for their Unity programmer certification, and I said, have ChatGPT ask you some questions, and then identify your areas of weakness. Is it in debugging? Is it in programming? Is it in code identification? What is it? Is it in the UI? Where is your problem? So then it can go back and explain to you where you need to study and spend some time studying. I've had kids do ACT prep using ChatGPT. It's going to ask them the same types of questions that are on any national, test. In my classroom, we use it for debugging, because if you've ever sat there and stared at 300 lines of code and are looking for the error on line 19, even though it says it's 919, position 12, it's not. Rest assured, it's not. And they're efficiencies to help us speed that up, and to teach kids how to be empowered to take on that role, because they don't know how to use it for that purpose. They know how to do the shortcut. They know how to chat GPT and write an essay in 35 seconds. They know how to do that. They know how to Snapchat filter whatever they want on their face to send to their friends. They also know how to interact with the AI in Snapchat. On Meta, all those different AIs that are out there, the kids know how to use them, but they're using them for a shortcut. They're not using them for learning. And that's how we have to take and twist that, because we don't know how to do that. And I spend a lot of time messing with AI to try to figure it out, but not everybody else is as motivated. Sasha, we talked about that. She's like, I don't know, that's not my thing, and it's uncharted territory, and here we all are. But the kids are going to use it to get to the end, and we need to figure out how to
stopgap and teach them how to use it to learn, because I have kids tell me all the time, this is cheating, Mrs. Swickard. And I said, it's not cheating. I said, there's 1 of me and 20 of you, and we got to speed up this process. We're going to find your errors and move on. And if you have a question, ask it, and then say, explain this to me. And it does a really good job. It's not as entertaining as I am. But you can put, you can give that direction. Be sarcastic like Mrs. Swickard, do whatever, and it'll be better. But there's a lot of different things that we can do. It's going to take time. And I think in our first meeting, I even told Travis and Reed, it's going to take some funding from our district to get some people, to get a boot camp type of thing, and the support of our district to train our teachers, because this does need to happen, before we come back next year. It should have probably happened a year ago. Because AI is great, and schools, not thinking about it, but just education churns at such a slower pace. We are so far behind the 8 ball that we need to take a focused effect and kind of look and see how can we boot camp our teachers so that they can come back next school year and feel confident and have enough of a community within our schools to support this so that we're using it better. Is it going to be messy? I'm all for messy learning, but.
So what do you kind of foresee as we're going to boot camp everybody, and then what are we doing for long term?
So I think that boot camp is just teaching everybody how to use some tools, so that you have, you have your cute pink toolbox in your kitchen that your husband doesn't get to take. These are the tools that stay in the house. I have a screwdriver. I know what tools I need to, help me generate some lesson plans, differentiate some lessons so that my kids who are on a spectrum this big and bigger, I can meet their needs. I can fill in, I can, make better quiz questions that are relevant to my kids. I had a student who was super interested in Percy Jackson books. And so all of my assignments had to do with Percy Jackson for him. And so I was able to take and just twist that and tweak it so that it was just personalized. And then he was like, this is great. But those little tools like using Magic School, using Brisk, helping to identify, when students copy and paste large chunks of text into a document, you can use that in Brisk and find when that happens. It's usually an indication that they're getting it from someplace. You can have a conversation because, a couple of years ago, there was a big push for AI detection and it doesn't work. And it ended up ruining collegiate people and collegiate students' lives because they were accused of cheating and it was bad. So the boot camp, teaching everybody, and then we'd say, okay, well, this is what this looks like in the English department. This is what this looks like in math. How can you use, because for the longest time, AI was bad at math. Well, AI is not bad at math anymore. AI is great at math, and they can break it down so that, your 10th grader can understand, or whatever, or your 4th grader. And there was a dad whose daughter was having problems in 5th grade, and I think it was 4th or 5th grade, and he created just a little chat bot that would help her with her math, so to help talk her through what's going on in her math problems every night when they came home from homework, and her grades went up. There's enough data out there to support the use of personalized tutors that shows an increase in test scores. And there's just a lot out there, which then leads, you go from boot camp to continuous over time, and because you can't just do things once, it's not going to work.
I guess I was hoping maybe this would fall in within our PLC collaboration. I just feel like it's a lot.
Yeah. I think it probably will. I think initially it has to be kind of this broad scope, and then you'd say, okay, well, like at our building, I collaborate with Andrew and Cammie, and how can we use this? We're already using this. How can we use this with our kids? And what do we need to do to teach them? And so identifying a scope and sequence, which every kid needs to understand, we saw an article, Julie sent me an article last week about how in kindergarten they use AI for storytelling. And Jess does a great job of that already. She tells a story and then the kids have to describe a character. And when she reads a story passage, that she's like, okay, now what does that character look like? And so everybody gets to conjure up these ideas and they explain, and then she generates images of what those characters look
They're
like.
so excited when their image pops
And,
up.
and then it just builds from there, and first grade through second grade, you're gonna do this, and then third grade through fifth grade, you're gonna do this, and this is how we're going to use the tool, and it's guided, and there are ways, then you start releasing taking off the training wheels, and then the kids start learning how to actually create a chat bot by the time they're in high school, and so we go through here, there's the PLC will help, I think, kind of get things back to where it needs to be, the cycles of things and having that constant conversation, but we're still going to have to be intentional about what we're doing. And, every time I see a new tool, I'm like, ooh, Brandy, have you seen this? Or, and I'm not even there anymore with Brandy, but I still send her stuff and I'm sure she loves it. But, that's just how it works here, because that's just how we've always been set up to do things. So, does that help?
So, from a board perspective, we need to figure out some policy on how we're going to do all of these amazing things that you're describing. I was just flipping through the guidance for use, but it's a big step from what I see here to actual policies that we can make fit for the whole district. Is there, and Mr. Superintendent, if you've got an answer, jump in on here, but how do we go from the concept?
So I know we have EL that's ready to present. It's already 7 o'clock. I promised them they would be up and going by 7. So this is a big task. So I want to come back and remind you, we intentionally, just like we did with EL, we put what we call train the trainers in every building. Their job was to meet monthly with Andrew, talk about these discussions, and they're the ones that train the trainer philosophy, because at every building, every grade level, it's going to look a little different. In addition to that, you'll see in the document that's created here is kind of that roadmap of what we look like. I want to go away from the word curriculum, because curriculum is based around standards. So what we're talking about is possibly the change of how we instruct kids and what we're doing instruction in the classroom looks like, tied to what we're doing with PLCs. So we do have to chunk it a little at a time, because we do have a plate full of things that we are trying to accomplish what that looks like. However, my journey hasn't gone away to, again, every building, where are we at? I've asked Andrew to put that roadmap together where it says finalize the AI tools and the selection, initialize the professional development. So we're still on that journey. The protocols or the kind of guidance that has been established through this document and this work is something that we can look at, which would be guidance for what we do. But before we start going down the road of creating a board policy, I want to remind you, when you put a policy in place, every administrator in this building is going to have to hold every teacher accountable to that policy and that student discipline. So as we go through AI and as we're changing this, I really would like to continue that journey. Dr. Miller, as far as the curriculum and what that does, the scope and sequence of things, those are things that we'll continue to work on. But if you go to, I think, 22, this is the biggest kicker that I think, not 22, maybe 25. Everything we have to do is related to FERPA. So AI systems must protect the privacy and rights of students. So we just can't adopt, there's age limits, there's age requirements, what we can be in doing in that piece. So there's a lot of things that before we just adopt something, I've challenged Andrew along with technology to make sure whatever we are going to adopt and be using is legally something that we can be doing and have it in front of kids. So there's a lot of avenues of this as we look to move forward. So the journey still continues. AI is changing, just like I told this group here before. We just had a superintendent's training. There's a company out there right now that will guarantee that they have an AI program that it becomes a tutor, self-tutor for every kid. It's aligned to state standards and will increase our test scores by a certain percentage, and if it doesn't, they write the check back. So AI is advancing to a point where we've got to be able to sift out who's selling us the right product, who's not. Krista is correct in saying it's changing every day. So AI is pretty scary in some cases because the reality where we're at. However, in the state of Wyoming, we also have our legislators passed another law, Parental Rights Act, which has a whole nother level of protecting students' information and parental information. So there's a lot of safety checks that our tech team has to go through as we kind of go through. So this journey isn't just a simple journey, but it's not over yet. So finding the funding, I mean, as the board, as we come to that piece, if that's your number one priority, then we'll shift the funding, but then that funding comes from something else. So as we kind of talk through this process, we are going to continue that journey. I've asked Dr. Miller to kind of help put a plan together, a roadmap, a sequence. And I don't know, is there a list of programs in here that we talked about the other day, Andrew, that are potentials that we can use or not? But we will continue this journey.
Mr. Chair.
Please.
Thanks, Charles, for that. And thank you all the teachers for coming, and Andrew, and explaining this to us. And you and Krista both touched on a piece that is of interest to us as a board, so I'll speak to us as a board. I know that Mr. Oski had stated funding, and we are in that position. We, given a certain funding, we treat that with fidelity, and this is ever changing. This is quick. This is not going away. And so we as a board, we are going to rely on the teachers and the administrators. And you all know that you're given a budget every year, and you figure out how that works. And so we will rely on our business manager to say where we can put certain things. I know, for instance, right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, Connie, but I believe we're given $250 per student towards technology currently. That's our current number. And Mrs. Sweckert, I've chatted with her a ton, and she's done a wonderful job finding things at little to no cost to delve into this this piece. And so just be cognizant, board, that when these reports are coming around and they're looking at the funding thing, that's something that we have to look at. I mean, that's a huge piece that's coming forward. And it's interesting to me that, and Charles talked about the standards. Technology is not a standard. AI is not a standard. And so, and who knows what it'll look like, come legislative time, a few years from now, or just shortly. It could be interesting. But just keep that at your forefront as board members, that we make those decisions on that funding and what that looks like for so.
Please.
I was going to say, as far as policies, we weren't really wanting to write a policy. All of this fits into our acceptable use policy right now, which we talked about working on because it is a little outdated. It's not been updated since 2022, right, Christy? 2020. So
With the parental rights, we got to get that occurring.
yeah, and so that's something that every staff has to sign, every student has to sign, and so that's something that we felt was probably the most critical. I don't know, maybe you want to delve into that and just throw that, but I don't think you really want to touch AI policy.
I feel like we had this discussion one of the first times you guys came in and presented talking about policies, when we were talking about the collegiate problems they were having, and said, maybe not, because it changes so quickly that would be hard to just continually update that policy over and over just to stay up with it. It might be best just to.
Because it's like a tool, so if you approach it from the angle of the tool, and ensuring that we're meeting FERPA and CPED, COPA, and all the other that we have to, that from that angle, all of those fall under our acceptable use policy because we can't roll those out anyhow. And so I think you kind of, if you start looking at it tool-based as, as far as a standalone, AI thing, it does fall under my technology standards, Lynette. I have to teach AI.
Thank you.
And so it is K-12. There are all the computer science standards. It does fall under that realm.
Comes in there. Good.
So.
Thank you, Krista. Thanks for that.
Anything else from the board? Right on. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, EL team, you were up. Or-
Hi, board.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? I'm Annika Burkle.
Freya Butterfield.
Hi. And let's see if I can get this to go the right way. My down button, there we go, thank you. My expert on this left. So, anyway, we are the ELL or ML team of coordinators for Johnson County School District. This is a new team, a new cohort, if you will, for this district, and it's very, very important. We are representatives of each school, so we have one ML chair or ML coordinator for each school, including Casey. So we have, while we don't have a large number of ELL students, we can see that it can ebb and flow, so we want to be prepared for that. So to start out, we start out with monthly meetings. We have Karen's our Maker is our.
Karen is our resident expert that lives in
Yes, she is. We meet with Karen over Zoom once a month as a full team, and I meet with her weekly as the district coordinator.
So let me give a little history just as a reminder. So Karen was our chair for our accreditation visit for our peer review. She was formerly, what do I say? She worked in Jackson. This was her job, and she kind of is one of the forefront leaders in the state of Wyoming with EL for, that's basically all she does. So she helps write the book for the state. Well, when she was here, she identified that part of our EL program wasn't quite up to compliance. And then the state came in and said, no, you're not in compliance. So we have had an opportunity to restructure our English as a second language type of format, which is what you guys were kind of where we're headed. So what we did is very similar to what we did with AI. We put an expert in every building. That is my goal. So instead of having one person district-wide and that one person leaves, we have multiple people that are trained through this process, certified, that can do it throughout the district. So that's the team you have in front of you. This is year one, phase one, so we have a resident expert in every building. And they've been doing the training through Karen. And so I want to say phase one, or what I heard this afternoon, is the base has been established, right? So our handbook has been approved by the state. We have processes in place, and each one of these ladies up here is certified to provide the assessment and kind of go from there. So we'll be going into phase 2 and 3. So that's what they're presenting to you here tonight in a quick overview. Okay.
So real quick, what does ML stand for?
Multi-language.
Multi-language, thank you.
So it's
Sitting there looking through that and never said, I'm like, what the?
We say
What am I
ELL,
missing?
then there's ESL and ML, and I guess according to Karen, we're going the way of ML, so it's multi-language and then learners, not MLL, ML. So we're trying to work that into our vernacular.
Get our
It's been a
acronyms
tough one,
together.
well, yeah.
So for
We're on
the
this-
old timers in the building like me, it is ESL.
Yeah,
It's not always
ESL.
their second language, so we have to get away from it.
Yeah, it's not the second language, and the ELL is English language learners, so ML, we're trying really hard to.
This now, we have students who are coming in that are not only fluent in their native language, but then becoming fluent in English or perhaps other languages, so multi-language.
Could be 4 or 5 in there
Yes.
before we get them.
Oh, yes, so, we've had some successes, and we've had a lot of successes and a few challenges over this past school year. One of the biggest successes is that we have an amazing team of ML coordinators. We all work very well together. 2 people are not here today. Elizabeth Hedlund, she's for EHS, and Chris Devon, and he is our KC coordinator. All of our students that we were concerned about or that came in new to the district that we knew needed to be tested were screened and monitored or put on a monitor plan. Those are for kids that have been in the program and they're working their way through it. We put together uniform IELP, which is like an IEP, but it's for language. These ELL students or ML students. And one of the biggest things too that we've done is Steve got put a drive together for us, and everything's finally organized. So it's easy to find our forms that we need. They're living documents. We can make copies and continue with that so that we all are on the same page and it's organized. So again, if someone were to leave and someone else had to take over or something, things are really well organized for us. Yeah. Challenges. getting into access testing. Access testing I compared to fast bridge testing or what I taught for ELL students, ML students. And we had a difficult time finding that on our computers. Turns out they were right there. So after talking to tech, we discovered where they were. One of the biggest challenges we still have and we really, really want to work toward is having someone in each building. We are full-time teachers, so this is something else that we do as well.
In addition to your other
In
duties.
addition to our other, yes. We would love to have someone in the building that can work with these ML students. Or as Karen has told us before, speaking the language and listening and speaking and interacting is a huge piece of these students being able to grow. And if we can use technology all we want to, but if they aren't using that language and speaking that and interacting with someone else, they don't make the growth that they would normally make. So that's a big, we'd like to meet those students in the classroom. And then at the end of the year, we have a translation service that started out strong. This end of the year, we ran into a few hiccups that we're kind of working those out, so.
Okay, so these two on the screen are the plans and the processes we have in place. So we created a flow chart this year that just basically helps simplifies the idea of how we identify our ML learners and within the district. So if we have a student incoming that is new to the district, we can go use this flow chart to determine if through home interviews, through the Power School, when they are filling out Power School, we can determine if they are going to need services, and from those services, we can also determine if they're going to need to be on a monitor plan or if they're going to actually need specialized services. And so that flow chart has really helped us kind of in simplifying the process of just this is the steps we need to take. And then the plan itself is really laid out exactly how we fulfill the needs of each of these students that we have within our buildings, within our district. So, and a working document, that's kind of the fun of these documents as we're setting out phase one this year. We're learning, okay, we know this works, we know this doesn't work, or we see that this process is better placed by using this particular tool. So, and that's where AI can come in too.
Yeah, nice. Okay, documentation and replicable practices. So all of us have to go through a certification annually. It took 8 hours or more probably to go through we're in different bands, grade with bands. So we had to get certified and take tests online through BETA and WBE to get certified to be coordinators. So we'll do this every summer. I am in the K2 band, and then we go on up through the different bands. Ideally, we will overlap. So in any case, that say Freya in the middle school was unable to do something, she was gone sick, something happened, or she moved away, I would be able to proctor those tests and also grade them and screen students. And we also had to be trained to and certified to proctor the access test. It's very, 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 very strict. The rules for that are very, very strict of security rules, and you have to go through the right certification to get that taken care of. We have an IELP form that we have created with Karen's help. It's beautiful, easy to read. We can show the teachers, fill those out easily throughout the year. Those need to be filled out at the beginning of the year, and then we'll be wrapping that up this year as well. On the forms, we have letters home that can be translated into whatever language is necessary. And then we have a beautiful timeline and checklist. That's the best thing for teachers, I'll tell you. But for us, and it's by month. And so it tells us what we have to have done by what time for each month. And then I've created a calendar with Karen that I've shared out, and it sets up reminders for us about a week in advance, letting us know, hey, don't forget to send a parent letter out, don't forget to get the access scores, those kinds of things.
So on a side note, I have background in this. I worked for Campbell County and was Yale, so I've done a lot of this process all the time, so I have that background. This year we have built a toolkit in the Google form the Google Drive, yeah, the Google Drive, and it has a lot of different resources in there. We do have a language toolkit that has over 70 pages of resources that Karen has kind of shared with us from other districts, and we've just compiled it. So each one of us have access to that. So if a teacher comes to us and says, I'm struggling with this with my EL students, what can I use? We can go there, find a resource, there's games, there's all sorts of things. Here's an example, sentence stems they can use. All of these resources that we use with the ML learners are good for all students. So it's not just gonna be focused on a ML student. So another example, this would be blank and they would fill this in. They could pre-teach vocabulary to this and then have them put them into the right slots and then help them to learn that vocabulary.
Thanks, guys. Great work organizing that thing.
Mr. Chair, so when you're looking for people to be on this board, do you ladies speak multiple languages?
I always say I interpret dance and Pig Latin.
Okay, so you don't, so you can't, like, you have a Spanish student, you can't interact with them.
I can to a point, but don't ask me to sing.
High school Spanish helped immensely with the learning curve on some of the things here, but I have to say translation services have also really immensely helped having not just Google Translate, but also there's tools out there that allow us to get apps that are for some of our students to be able to use a translation service. And then also, of course, we have our phone translation service to be able to even communicate better with parents, which has been a lifesaver in many aspects, especially when trying to hold certain meetings.
So I have to ask you the question then, as we pass this cell phone policy, is what I'll call it, and these students and you guys no doubt need to use it because that's how I have to communicate with some of them. So does that hinder you guys?
How do you deal with that?
Because, and just speaking from some of the things in knowing that sometimes when we have a tool that is within their IELP, that can be then used as an accommodation that they're allowed to use in the classroom.
Okay, very good.
So,
So to kind of help that answer question, what you've created doesn't take away if it's required for meeting the educational needs of kids. We did not take that out.
Still that.
So as long as it's still meeting the educational needs.
Good, and so you guys your staff makes that determination or your
Yes,
group?
absolutely, yeah.
Perfect.
This is the child's team, the IELP team, so the classroom teacher,
So the other part I want, they volunteer, which we're very grateful for.
Yeah.
Dr. Miller came back and says, we filled all the positions. And it's really morphed into something that Karen has said, this team has done a great job with this. It is something that, I come back to the check boxes. I don't want this to be a checkbox, but it is a checkbox for federal grants, okay? Even though we have a small number of kids in this this is something that's evaluated by the state in order for us to receive federal funds. However, if you heard the key word, also this type of training, they want to go into the general ed classroom. This impacts the general ed classroom with better instruction. So there's a lot of great things that are coming out of this. So this journey is not over, okay? It's another additional funding thing that's required, but I loved your enthusiasm this afternoon. I loved to hear what Karen had to say. And ultimately our goal is, if you went back to that one of the first slides where it says we are the experts, this is that train the trainer thing. This is that idea of having somebody in every building that can teach teachers and be the trainer in every, and that comes back to the philosophy that I've had for the last 3 years, is I want to have shared leadership among the districts. So if one person leaves, we're not in the same pickle we were several years ago where there's one individual standing up here that kind of rescued us a few times, and very grateful for that, but I don't want to be in that situation again as a district, especially when we have kids come in. So this team has done a great job, so thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, please.
How many people remember Karen when she was here?
I can just a little bit because I got to talk to her at the interview. Hey.
Yeah.
Okay, gang, next up we've got the consent agenda.
So, Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Got a motion and a second, Dave Benito. Any discussion on the consent agenda from the board? Don't have access, look at your neighbor and we will point out stuff.
So, Mr. Chair, I do. I think there's some people that we need to recognize. Mr. Ostheimer, so sorry to see you leave. The Hiles have been an instrumental part of this school. I just love those people and hate to see them be gone, but I understand they're moving. So anyhow, anybody that has worked here, thank you.
In turn, thank you for the service, for sure. Any other discussions from the board? No rush, guys. Take a minute and help the person next to you.
Question.
do
gonna
it
let that be
now, or I've
principal.
asked him to do it during Mike's presentation when we get to there.
But you guys pick, if time's getting tight, now you can go.
My guess is that Mr. Dunnigan here would love to talk now and answer any questions now. He's got one heck of a board meeting behind him now. So, yeah, if you don't mind, I'll.
Yeah, come on.
This is Joe Dunnigan. He's been a New West High School student for the last 2 years. His parents are Chuck and Wendy Dunnigan. And I guess I remember meeting Joe in the summer and meeting his parents for the first time. And right then is when I learned that his goal was to become a United States Marine Corps member as soon as possible. And I think we've helped him achieve that. And so I will let him do the rest of the talking, but I'll tell you that if I were going to pick a young person from this community to go and serve our country and represent us in that way, I couldn't pick a finer individual than this young man right here.
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Joseph Dunnigan. I'm currently a high school junior at New West. But this year I submitted a request to graduate early because, as Dr. Hampton said, I would like to become a United States Marine. That has been my goal since I was born. But currently I'm an Eagle Scout with the Boy Scout troop here in Buffalo. I'm also a reenactor with Fort Bill Kerner Reenactors. In February this year I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. I've been part of the delayed entry program ever since, and I plan to ship out to recruit training on the 26th of this month.
Awesome. How'd you pick the Corps?
What?
How did you pick the Corps as opposed to different branch?
I didn't really look at other branches, but the Marine Corps, they got the snazziest uniform out there. The esprit de corps I was looking for, right? I truly believe they are the best at what they do. And I want to be part of that culture, that exclusive club.
Good answer. Thanks.
Go Marines, and thank you.
Okay, any other discussion on the consent agenda from the board? And you can totally bail now, thank you. All right, hearing no discussion, all in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, or say no. Opposed, say no. All right, next up, action items, policy revisions. You really got to sit next to somebody on this one. There's a bunch. Okay, gang. This is my favorite one. EEAFE and EEAE-R are both school bus related. We've been over those and looked at them. Could I get a motion to approve both of the EEAE policies?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve policy EEAEA. Bus driver requirements, training, and responsibilities.
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second for EEAFA, bus driver requirements. Discussion on this. EEAEA, sorry, I got my EIOs out of order. EEAEA, bus driver requirements, training and examination. We got to work on your acronyms. That's killing me.
So, Mr. Chair, just a question. So we went from 12 hours of training to 6. Is there a reason, or why did Bill maybe help write that down?
Okay, the 6 hours of training is what's required from the state.
Okay, that's what I
state mandate.
Thank you, Bill.
Other discussion or questions on this one? Okay. All in favor of approving EEAEA, and his dog too, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Okay. Next up, EEAE-R.
Make a motion to approve policy EEAE-R.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, Marcia and Dave. Discussion on this one. Hearing none, all in favor of approving EEAE-R, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Okay, that one's clear. Next up, IKFC. When I open the file, I get an
IKFA.
Yeah, and on the list there it does, if you click that button,
I'm gonna click it.
and it tells me IKFC in the top right corner.
Yep.
Which one? IKFC. Which one of these am I wishing to approve?
C.
C. Mike, you might know the answer. This is you.
I don't know the answer.
Okay, IKFC. Okay,
So I'll make a motion to approve policy IKFC.
Second.
who was quick? Marcia? Okay, Dave and Marcia, motion in a second to approve the New West graduation updated policy. Discussion on this one from the board. Please.
Mr. Hanson, I see you require 5 hours of community service. Have you been doing that, or is that something
No, that's new. When we started New West, one of the things we said that we wanted to enhance is our students' connection to the community. And there's opportunities for that right now. It just hasn't been a requirement. And so we just feel like this will be really in line with what the board's vision and the district's vision for New West was from the beginning, and part of sort of some of the board directive recently as well.
So I think it's a great idea, though.
I do too. I applaud that idea. Other discussion from the board on the New West graduation? Hearing none, all in favor of approving IKFC, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. All in favor of ordering some KFC? All right, guys. Sorry, couldn't help it. Dad joke.
Can we have a second on that?
I'll nominate.
No, we gotta ask Connie if the money's there.
Got church, Mike. Okay, guys, next, we've got these leave policies. These are the GCB and the GCC family, even a GDC, plus a matrix and a payout change. This is all one big group of policies, all of it to do with leave. I would like a motion to approve the slate as presented.
So I can make a motion to approve all of the leave policies as they are presented.
Matrix.
This big slate.
Brilliant. Motion to approve the slate as presented. Second. In a second, Marcia and Benito. Okay, now, if there's anything anybody would like to discuss on these?
The only thing I would ask is the policy that's going to be deleted, did we need to specify that?
In the motion? Yeah, the recommendation is delete.
The slate. It says it right here in the notes.
Okay, very good.
So however, Travis is a chairman with your two new board members. Maybe just kind of give a quick overview.
Please, by all means, tell
This
us.
didn't happen overnight. There was a lot of work. We met with committees, we met with HR. So this is part of our mission of revisiting all policies. And leave policy, there was a lot of time and effort put in by not only the business office team, but HR to actually align our policies to federal law. So, and clean up some of those things. So there's been a lot of work to this, and that needs to be kudos to everybody that's put that
Yeah,
in.
acknowledge the time and effort. Please take them back to the buildings.
Mr. Chair.
Please.
Also on the payout
Change at the bottom there.
change and the matrix for leave policies, you're not approving that because I'll bring that to you when we actually pay it.
Okay.
Because those numbers are going to decrease because of the people who are leaving at the end of the year, so that all those numbers will change as we get that actual.
So do I need to modify that motion? Or
No.
it was okay the way it went? Okay. Other discussion from the board? Anybody got questions on any of these? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the slate as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Okay. That one's clear. Next up, salary recommendations, the salary schedules for 25-26.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the fiscal year 26 salary schedules as presented as a state, including increase to each base and allowing steps and lanes.
Okay.
Second.
A motion and a second, Lynette and Casey. This one we covered pretty hard in the work session. We spent a fair bit of time going over this for the new members. I apologize, you did not get to spend a fair amount of time on this. So this is a cold call. It's a big change, but it needs to be done, I think. Other discussion from the board?
Mr. Chair, I do have one question. after, and I probably should have asked earlier, but after reviewing, we don't have our superintendent. Can you explain how the superintendent schedule goes? Or do we not? Because I looked at all the things.
Last year, we changed the superintendent's contract to be able to get a raise when everybody else got a raise. And we talked about it just the other day, is maybe we need to create a salary schedule so that you can see that, and we can talk to Charles, we can talk to Travis and kind of get together, and then if that looks like what we want to do, we can bring it to you in June, because I need to bring another one to you in June.
Okay. Mr. Super, help me get this correct. Right now, that is individually negotiated, and that's your contract alone. We don't have it included this way.
Well, we did add some things.
We did add some things.
We edited my contract, so the reality is the contract comes with part of that superintendent's evaluation, those timeframes that go through that. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I added a salary schedule to the, can you go to the salary schedule?
Yep.
All the way to the bottom.
So,
That's the one on the list.
There we go. So we added this one, we needed to add the sub-salary schedule.
Right.
We added student summer help on here. We also, the in-house, if a teacher subs or if a para or a classified person subs, this is on there. And also a stipend for professional development and a stipend if you're leading professional development, or the stipend if you're actually instructing students. So that was based on the teacher's salary schedule. It's based on that base, or it was 46 or 47.5 last year, and now it's gone up to 49. It's going to 49, so we needed to adjust these as well. We increased the pay for summer help to $15. We have a summer grounds technician, irrigation person that spends a lot of time, who's an adult, so she has a little bit more. So we increased that, and then they have two supervisors, one in KC and one here, and so we increased that as well, and that is on that.
Those are approximately the same type of increases as other positions around the district? I mean, more or less. Other questions?
Discussions, Connie. I wholeheartedly agree with giving the staff raises, and I'm good with that. But I sometimes wonder, this is a little over $1 million. We don't know that we're going to get the money next year.
The ECA, yeah.
How come it's not giving us a bonus? Because a bonus doesn't hold us to it. We can't substantiate this if we don't get the ECA without ripping staff, and I don't want to do that. So that's just consideration. I know this is not the budget that will be presented in July, but I think that we need to put some thought into that.
That's applicable here. If we send contracts out with these numbers, we will be committed to these numbers.
That's right. And like I say, if we don't have it, I know we have the money in savings, but going down the road, it's going to put us in a bad position, which I don't want to get the district in a bad position.
We received quite a bit of ECA money.
We did.
Yes, we did. And so we felt, Charles and I felt pretty strongly that it needs to go to the employees.
And I agree with that. It's just how you give it.
Yes.
Again, we feel pretty confident, still a risk, but we feel confident that we'll get that ECA again, just because we don't think the legislature's going to slap the Supreme Court in the face and say, I'm not going to follow what you tell us to do. So, and I doubt that appeal will be finished by that time. So, again, I could argue your way, and I can argue my way.
You know, I just look at it with Doge and everything else is going on, the reduction and whatnot. That is probably what has me concerned about them not passing the ECA.
With that increase, we're still at 79% of our budget is salaries and benefits. If we do it as a bonus, that will be less because we will be paying as much of the benefits. So
We're in the target zone.
Anyhow, it's a thought I had. I wanted to express it because I think that it's really a fair consideration.
It's a fair point. We're betting on
It's like I
black,
say,
4
I
years
still want the staff to get the money. It's just how you get it, because I'm looking at the longevity. I don't want to put us in a bad way. So that's my thoughts.
Because we can argue your way and we can argue our way. It's really up to you guys. But I did want to be specific about what we're doing so everybody can understand. The teacher salary schedule, the base is going up at $1,500. The base for professional staff and administrators is $1,000 to the base, and all classified will receive a 75-cent raise to the base. That is what's happening
That's what
when
we can
you
see in here.
approve these salary schedules, yes.
Plus the steps and lanes will be granted again. We're pushing the steps and
And
lanes.
we don't have very many that move a lane, we may have one or two. And we don't know any of that yet, has anybody turned anything, so we won't know that
We'll
until.
solve that prior to the budget. Okay. It's a gamble. We have acknowledged that and there's a chance, but with the new lawsuit, I feel it's a gamble we should take. I'm wrong, I will apologize later.
You'll pay next year.
Yeah, it'll be next year, I'll have it, don't worry, I got it. Yeah.
So Travis, I just want to speak as a superintendent. If we don't start moving the needle for our staff, everybody else is moving the needle. And if we're gonna start recruiting people, we gotta start moving the needle.
Yeah. The surrounding districts
And
are.
a bonus is not gonna move the needle, the bonuses are gonna bring some things in. I get that, cause I'm to that point with where we're at, but we've got to get to a point. Everybody else, like I stated the other day, is gonna move the needle. We're not getting closer to that 53,000, we're actually just, our 1,500 is not even close to what some other districts are doing, so that gap's getting larger.
Okay.
So it is, I talked to this about this before, it is Russian roulette, I get it. We get that we can be gutted this summer with recalibration, we can not get ECA, but I'm gonna tell you what, there's 48 school districts in the state that are gonna be in the exact same boat that we are. We could give a bonus, but again, if you're recruiting somebody and said, hey, this is our base salary, we're $7,000 less than everybody else, but by golly, I'll give you $2,000, I almost guarantee you, most people are not gonna look at that piece.
Would have been an easy call.
And so I agree with Dave. It's a gamble, but I'm also gonna come back to 3 years ago, we were $1.5 million in the hole. We presented a budget to you today with staffs and salaries that it's a balanced budget.
380.
Okay, so what we're balancing, what we're gonna have to pay is $700,000 is actually special ed transportation, which is over at, Connie and I discussed it. It's really 12 months, but we get paid for 10 months, what that looks like. But we've got to also show our staff here that we're willing to put money into them and lock that base, but I'll be transparent saying we've got some hard decisions. ADM is going down. It's not about not getting the ECA. We have some hard decisions in front of us, but in order to stay competitive, I really think we need to stay away from a bonus and we need to add to our base.
Okay. Other questions or discussion from the board? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the salary schedule adjustment as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say no.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Yes, and come on, ECA. All right. Next up, reports, principal reports. It's Meadowlark.
So Meadowlark is already
first.
first, so basically, is there any questions for
Questions for
anybody?
the principals?
Here.
Yes, please.
Mike, for you, so you'll have students graduating, obviously, from your school. When do you actually open, like, is there a certain period of time where there's applications open to come to New West, or how does that process work?
Thanks for the question. Usually we do our application and interviews in March, April, for the most part. This year with some staffing changes, I wanted to make sure that we can serve all the students we have and potentially some additional students. We've had to push that back just a little bit. So we have all of our interviews be wrapped up before school's out. So generally too, and for people who are new to the board too, we tend to get an application or two rolled in over the summer just because, you know, somebody's new to Johnson County and they talk with, you know, BHS maybe, and the alternative format is recommended to a family. So we might make an exception here and there, but for the most part, yeah.
Anybody else got questions for the principal? Lynette, please.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to recognize Gib. It's been a pleasure working with you, Gib. I've thoroughly enjoyed all of the places that you've taken us at Buffalo High School through your videos. I always wanted to go on the walkway, and you took us up there, and so I also want to say that I've attended graduation every year for the last how many ever years, and at the end of that stage, you've always stood, and those kids, they love you, and so I wish you well, and thank you for serving Johnson County School District.
Mr. Chair, Gib, since they're talking about you, you had a deal in there where the 9th grade class was 67% proficient. Yay! But how did they do in the other areas?
Well,
or do you have to be
we don't have them back.
We do.
Oh,
so I can tell you that our 9th grade writing, we still have 6 tests that are unscored. Those are all students who should actually help us. 96% proficient or above.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know where in the state you're going to see that in the coming year, but I doubt you will. So really good stuff.
Thanks.
Awesome. Mr. Chair, yeah, but I just wanted to say thank you as the BHS liaison for letting me come into the school as much as I did since I've been on the board, and I'm still waiting for my key fob. I mean,
Yeah.
Going on right now?
I mean,
She asking for a job? She wants a key.
I'll give you keys to a lawnmower.
I'll take that one. Just some relaxing time, mowing around.
Anybody got anything else for the principals? All right, thanks you guys. Next up, we got District Ops team. Who's picking on John this time?
Mr. Chair.
Please.
Bill, you had in your report that, let me find it here, that you have mountain driving, is that a requirement or is that something that's voluntary?
We made it an expectation and a requirement here at the local level. At the state level, they offer that at the WPTA, the Wyoming People Transportation Association Conference. They allow us to go do that mountain driving. We've made it a standard here in Johnson County since obviously our location. None of our drivers that go over the mountain, they have to have that certification and be able to do that. So it is something that we require, yes.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, I just got a question too. I see that it says you're not gonna have any sub-drivers now, or is that what it's stating?
We're running short.
In KC, yes. So let me speak to that. First of all, kudos and thanks to all of the drivers in KC, Wyoming that are doing the job down there. They're stretched very thin. We've been asking staff in KC that actually have other duties. They're going to be teachers that are coming after school and driving for us to help fill in as substitutes. With some changes, we had a resignation of one of the teachers, and another teacher was placed into becoming a music teacher. So her duties are going to change. So she has some time commitments there as well with that, with after school, going to teacher meetings, things like that. So yes, those were my 2 substitute drivers down there, and they're going to be non-existent next fall. So
I just, because we had the last conversation earlier from the Mailworth route, saying that if we're not gonna have sub and stuff, is that how are you gonna work that? Is that?
Well, the challenge remains definitely with KC. I think first and foremost, they need to understand we're at a point where our back's against the wall down there. We need drivers. We are at that point where we've always been able to accomplish, but probably we're not. This coming Friday, we're not going to be able to run routes. We usually run routes on Fridays to support the swim activities. We go out and get the K through 5s and bring them to town to get on the swim bus to come here. We do not have the staff to do that because of the commitments we have with activities and their state culminating events like regional track. That driver's got to go. We don't have that ability. As you can see in my report, we have 12 days of school left after today, student days in Buffalo. We have 67 different activities or trips or field trips to go in those 12 days. Okay, so it's all hands on deck. Everybody's driving. We are completely committed to it. To speak right to KC, we would love to have some word of mouth. I believe you would have to have your head in the sand down there to not know that we need bus drivers. We're out in the community, we're asking, we're using word of mouth, but it's just not something that we're getting right now. So we're gonna have to sit down, have some difficult conversations and look at how we're going to tackle that. Maybe just because we've always done it this way, maybe we're gonna have to do something different. We are required to get these kids to school, but we can also utilize some things like isolation payments and ask that the parents bring them in. Some of that, maybe, obviously they wanted to split the Mailworth and the North route that we had combined. That's definitely not going to be on the ticket this year unless we, have some people come in. But I believe there's talented individuals in KC that, that could fill in these gaps. I just think that they need to understand the commitment. Kudos to you guys today with the adding to the base. I mean, that's going to help me. That's going to help me. I'm going to be able to go knock on doors and campaign and say, hey, you're getting paid a little bit more now. And maybe we'll be a little more competitive with what is offered in that region. So, but take that home, help kick that out in the community. And if anybody's watching or any of you guys are out and about, yeah, KC, we need some drivers. But we're up against the wall right here in Buffalo too. We are definitely needing drivers. And that's been the tone nationwide. It's not just us. I could talk to any transportation director in the state, and it seems to be a problem that we're having. We're chipping away at it. The Department of Transportation Federal Motor Carriers Association has actually changed some of the rules on how to get your CDL and some of those things, making it not easier, but a little more convenient for us to train them and get them out on the road. So, for the most part, I just want to end what I have to say tonight about that as kudos to my team and the drivers that are staying committed, because they are working some serious hours and doing a lot of travel and a lot of flexibility. So when you drive for Johnson County School District, you don't just have one bus, you don't just have one route. You may be asked to do anything, so they're all moving, they're all rotating, and we're just getting the job done. And knock on wood, we are accident free for the year so far. We got 12 more days.
Mr. Chair, 2 comments. Ricky isn't here, but I do want to thank Cody and Lori Collins publicly for the donation of beef. Secondly, Christy, this is one of the best reports I've seen you have. You and your staff are amazing to keep things going. You do a lot of repairs, and thank you for what you do. And John, thanks for the end of the year. Not for you, but the end of the year. And thank you for keeping all the buildings up and going.
Up and running.
Appreciate that.
Challenges.
A little bit of a challenge with AC today, but yeah, we'll get there.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you all. All right. Anybody else got anything for us?
Can I add one thing, please, Chair? On that item number 10 on that component project, I just wanted to put a little bit explanation on that. There's 2 different dollar amounts there. We had a great meeting with Karen Moon, project manager with the SFD. So we were allocated that $4.4 million for that project through legislation, but we had 3.5 for construction. That covers a lot of the soft cost on the back end, professional services and things like that. So
that's the difference.
That's the difference that they come in, and the state does a ton of work on this back end. So I just want to kind of explain those differences in those dollar amounts. So they said we're getting 4.4 million, but it'll be 3.5 for construction. And the dates, I had it sent to me today. We're going to start from May 16th we're shooting for November 12th to 25, final documents to go to bid and bid in January 26 for work and summer of 26.
What's it scheduled?
I mean, those are all dates that are coming up right here, so it's gonna be busy.
Starting to move.
Yep.
Good. Anything else for the ops team? Or anything else from the ops team? Okay, next up, district admin.
So Travis, in respect of time, unless you have questions or for me, for the others, this is probably where we need to have Connie represent the preliminary budget and go slide by slide.
Yep.
So I don't want to take away and say, but if there's questions, let's ask them now. Otherwise, I want to turn this over to Connie so we can go through the preliminary budget.
Everybody good with that?
Mr. Chair, I have one comment. Steve, did you give us again? Was your video?
Yeah, well.
I knew it.
Microphone malfunction, well, human error, so I had to.
Thanks,
AI.
I just had to know.
Yeah, it was AI.
I thought it was maybe getting better.
Heidi caught it right away. So.
Thank you.
Good catch.
Anybody else with questions for admin? All right, Connie, the show is yours.
I wanted to bring up ML.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys remember, a few months ago, we were audited for the 2020-2021 school year for at-risk students. Total that the state, that the districts, the 48 districts had to pay back to the state was $1,217,054. Our portion of that was $10,814. Because we didn't have the team involved, and so they audited it. And so we get a little bit of money for at-risk, and we had to pay it back because we did not have all the pieces in place. Natrona County paid $230,000 back. Bighorn 1 paid $203,000 back, sorry, $10,000.
Wasn't terrible.
So anyway, so what they do is really, really important financially on my side.
Yeah, for us to, complaints wise too.
Okay. Remember, I just want to remind everybody, this is the preliminary budget. It is, the salary and benefits are pretty accurate, but we're still working with the departments, and we'll meet with the departments between now and the time we present this to you again, so those numbers may change. Also, just for the new folks, hi, I'm Connie Gay. This is how some of the things, how Wyoming funding works. It's equitable funding, and hopefully we can get together and spend some time together, and I can go over step by step for that. But I've already gone through this with these guys, so we'll just go forward on that one. Again, this is just the funding model of the base resources. That's what the ADM generates. ADM generates FTE, which is, ADM is average daily membership. FTE is the full-time equivalent. So the ADM creates the FTE and the FTEs create the money. And you guys, they add a RCA, which is a regional cost adjustment. Ours is 1.02. So once they establish what the salaries are, they'll give us another 1.2%, and then they give us some ECA, which was 1.085 for both professional and non-professional staff. And I hate to say that because I want you to know that our classified staff are very, very, very professional.
Yes.
And utilities had a negative ECA, and then supplies went up, I think it's 1.0167. And then on top of that is those reimbursable items, which is transportation and the remote living. Remote living is given to teachers who teach in a remote area. And so we have all our KC teachers get an extra $1,000 to teach in KC. And so that is a reimbursable. And all those things together becomes our guarantee. Any questions on that? Okay, let's move on. So the first thing we have to do is we have to establish if we have enough revenue in order to create a budget around. And so this has not changed. Again, our guarantee is based on ADM, and so right now our ADM is 1,113 kiddos. And so we're about at 111.50 in our 3-year rolling average. And again, I'll explain those to you guys if I ever get a chance to sit down with you guys. But our foundation guarantee with ECA is $21,123,422. We're going to subtract transportation out, and remember that's last year's transportation number. That number changes. And then so we have $19,541,000. So we also get a little bit of retirement. That's a categorical grant outside the model, and we get about $295,000 for that. And I've estimated about $275,000 in interest, and we're sitting at almost $290,000 right now. So by the time we end, we'll be over $300,000, but we want to be conservative because we don't know what the interest rates are going to be, right? So with that, that adds additional $570,000. So we have about $20,101,000 to pay for the people, the FTEs that are generated in the 100. Okay, so that's not transportation, nor is it sped. Okay, any questions on the revenue? Okay. So there are lots and lots of works, lots of scenarios that Roman and was able to put together. We came up with this, that we think that salaries and benefits, that's non-sped and non-transportation, to be about 14.5. Is that what that said?
15, yeah.
16.5, sorry, can't say. 14.5. Very, very top. So some of the things that we really need to look at, and I really want to make sure that we are doing, is that we spent about $155,000 in subs last year, and we were about the same this year. We have a very generous sick bank. We're wanting to put some money back for sick bank, so we've estimated about $6,500 there. Last year we had quite a few people decide to sign up for insurance in January. So we didn't have that budgeted, so we want to make sure we have that budgeted this time. And then with the change in the leave payout, remember that we are wanting to put some funds away for that. Summer help, overtime, and then the National Board Certified Teachers, that's a grant. The grant pays for the salary piece of that, and we pay for the benefits in general fund. And then we pull activities out separately. Superintendent Oski's initiative for activities to be at 120% of activities. So what we do is their salaries and benefits equals 706. So 120% of the $855,000 we get for activities is $1,026,000. So $1,026,000 minus the 706 leaves what they get for their operations, and that's about $46,000 less than what they got last year. So you'll have a challenge with that. So we have utilities. We put a 12% increase on utilities. We have operations estimated at $2.5 million. And then that operations activities, again, we just talked about, was $320,000. Depreciation fund transfer, we went from 375 down to 300. We're changing and moving some internal services to be able to build up that fund in order to pay for leave payouts and for that sick bank if we have to do. And also, we were very fortunate. We had a 2% increase to insurance. Yay. The first year I was here, it was a 15% increase. Last year was 6%, this year it's 2%. So we want to be able to put some funds away back in case we have to absorb some increases in insurance in the future. So total salaries and benefits and operations were at $19,792,938. And remember, from the slide before, we had $20 million in revenue, we think. So we have about $318,000, and that's a surplus. It's a balanced budget in the sense of what the 100 generates. We're able to do that, and we have $318,000
extra left over. Yay. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna go to the reimbursables. So remember, reimbursables is transportation and sped. With the changes, the increase in salaries in transportation and sped, and the operations, again, we have our contracts contracts are always the ones that's iffy. We don't know who's gonna move in, we don't know if there's gonna be a need. And Craig's doing a great job at that. We've got 2 kids at BOCES now instead of 1, so that's increased a little bit. So what we have is we have some deficits here. So we take what we think we're gonna spend in transportation and in sped, and we estimate what we think we're gonna get back in reimbursement. So remember, transportation is reimbursement that we got last year, so I will know more of that in July. And also, I had it at 4.9 in the morning of Wednesday, and then by the time I saw you, I decided to move that down to 4.6 million that will get reimbursed. And again, all that's going to probably change. And so that leaves a deficit of 181,000 and 798,000 for sped. We have to forward fund that. We've been forward funding it. This is the way we always do it. So we'll be able to take that 318 that we had a surplus and then use some of our cash reserves in order to forward fund that, because we get that reimbursed back to us over 10.5 months. Now, we spend money over 12 months. So we're not gonna spend all this money in July and then have to catch up. We're gonna be being able to pay it monthly as we go. So the forward funding works really, really well. Any questions on that? Dave, do you have any questions?
Questions on forward funding? That's traditionally how we've always done this, and most of the districts do.
I thought it was front funding.
Oh,
Front funding, sorry.
Good call,
I'm
good
sorry.
catch.
We're learning, this is a new term for us.
Kind of like LML.
Front
New term.
funding, yes.
I keep wanting it to be front loading, like we're putting it on a truck.
So just to add to that, this is where we're trying to be as transparent to you guys, that these are up projected costs. And so it is reimbursable, but it's reimbursable a year later. So you always have to front fund things in these 2 departments in order to do it. So could that be less? Could it be more? Absolutely. But Travis, I know you and I have had this comes back to cash flow on a monthly basis. All right, so you're gonna see in that next slide, go with those cash reserves. That might seem like a lot of money on that next slide, but I'm gonna tell you, when you average $2 million a month, that's not a lot of reserves when we can see a fluctuation of $1 million easily with our monthly payments. So again, super excited that 318 3 years ago was a negative 1.5.
Yeah.
So in addition to that, the state didn't throw me in jail, and we didn't pay back that 2.9 million when I went into a recapture district too. So the district is setting pretty good with where we're at now. But the reality is, these are probably very solid numbers for you guys to understand the transparency of this is how school funding works. All right, there's a myth out there that we are reimbursed automatically July 1st. We are not, and it's over time. So this front funding you have to anticipate, because you're not gonna see that money till the following year.
And what did Connie teach us, you guys, at the last board meeting? You guys are excused, you don't have to answer this one.
Thank you.
Are these numbers real and factual? Are they absolute hard numbers that we can count on to not change ever in the world?
No.
No. Are these numbers absolutely guaranteed to change when she gets the final data?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody remember that? Okay, Marcy. I thought you were.
Oh, no. Okay. So cash reserves, go ahead and go to the next one. That was the front funding, remember? You guys don't get to see my animation, my AI animation that you didn't get present on. Thanks. So, cash reserves. So this is an estimate, I'm guessing is what we're going to have in the bank June 30th. So we have $2.7 million in WIDGF. No, we're not gonna touch that. I know that's going to be good. We had $1.7 million in the bank at the end of June last year. I think we'll have a little bit more than that. We got $2 million from the county last month. Anyway, so we have a couple months left for the county. And then we also have $923,000 that we have loaned special revenue that will be getting general fund getting paid back. So that, and then we subtracted the $2 million that we think we're going to owe back to the state. So we're starting with $3.3 million. If we add the 318 surplus, right? And then we have a one-time payout of $259,000 because we talked about that, changing the leave policy, we're gonna pay that out. And that could change too because we've got more people leaving, and so that changes that payout over time because we'll pay a lot of that out in the end of June. And then front funding for that we need to cover transportation and sped, and that's the $661,000, so that leaves us $2.7 million in the bank at the end of the year next year. Just a guesstimate. Okay, go to the next one. And this is just really showing you that the revenues and expenditures across the board and how we've got a balanced budget there. Any questions on that one? We've seen all these numbers before in the last few slides, so we'll go over them again. The next one is the non-general budgets. What I did add was the capital construction. I did not add the $4.4 million that we're going to get in component money. And so we'll just budget the whole thing out. And then next, depending on how much we spend in FY26, and in FY27, that budget will be whatever we have left in that component, depending on how that project goes through the system and how long it takes. Did not make any changes to this, and we don't have our allocations for grants yet, so I can't tell you what that is. We'll keep major maintenance at $3 million. It's just a good point because we never know when those projects will hit. And then the teacherages, that's we've spent about $25,000 there. That's if the roof falls in or whatever. We've got a little bit of budget there, and you guys have asked us to keep major maintenance and capital construction and depreciation at $500,000, and then food service. Hopefully, it'll look a little bit different, but we haven't had time to really analyze that, and we'll come back with a better number on that. Okay. So one of the things that we kind of talked about last week is that where those classified and those certified salaries were at when we got here and where they're at now. And also we added what depreciation looks like. Superintendent Oski's goal is to have $2 million in depreciation, and we're almost there. And then internal services, that had money in it because we went from WizBait to WEPT and insurance, and they paid us some money back, and we spent all that money on insurance, and also we gave the HSA incentives 2 years ago. And so now what we want to do, and then we've got $221,000 in there between that and debt services. We'll pay that out for the leave payout, and that'll take us, and we'll start over fresh, and we'll put $100,000 in there going forward for the sick bank and the leave payouts. And insurance, we'll try to start building that up. Any questions on that? Again, next time we'll have to go through functions and all those wonderful things that are required in the actual proposal.
Questions, comments, discussion from the board?
Thank you, Brian.
Yes, thank you.
Connie.
All right.
What's that? You put that in your phone?
Yeah, I
Contact
did,
them. All right, board level reports. Board level reports, rec board.
Okay, so last week was a long week, and we did all of our 3 meetings for all of our grant presentations. So the rec board gave out $449,000 this year to the school. There were only 2 presentations that they didn't fund fully, but still gave at least, I think, over half to both of them, so. Yeah, so I thought it went pretty good. One thing that I thought was really cool, we did have, last year, we gave the KC school like a score table, and I don't know if anyone has seen it, but they can run like ads on it. You've probably seen it, yeah. So one of the ladies presented that again, just to let us know how it was working, and they had students go out and talk to businesses and get advertisements for that. And I think that table costs between $7,000 and $8,000. I don't have my notes from last year what we gave them to pay for that, but they said that they've generated $10,000 in that. And they're using that money to help pay for meals for kids. So I was like,
That's a good use.
Really cool. So who's ever applying for grants next year for Buffalo High School, that will be really cool for them too. Let's see. And then the biggest thing is, yes, we still have a board vacancy. So we opened it back up again. So hopefully, if you know of anybody who would love to be on this board, it's really a fun group of people, and it's very non-stressful and usually not very late meetings either. Just that 1 week a year.
Once a week a year.
Yeah. So. I thought we were opening up another month, so I don't know when the last deadline was, so.
Have the awards went out to the individuals so they know that they've been awarded, or is that still coming?
They should have. Lisa usually posts it on the website right then and there and that night, so they should know.
I talked to her today. She said she called on another matter, but we should expect them within the next week.
Okay.
That's what she said. Both letters.
Coming. Okay.
Okay.
BOCES.
Yeah, there were some other things, but I think the thing of interest was somebody, I won't say who it was, asked a question about why would a district levy a mill? So there's 10 participating districts in the BOCE, and only one currently levies a mill. And so I asked the question, well, why would you? It doesn't seem like a good climate to be asking the public to levy an additional mill. And it really came down to special interests of the district. The one county that does, I think, is Converse 2, and they fund a preschool program through that BOCE. So it really came down to the BOCES became kind of the conduit for generating that money. So that was really the only thing I had to report. It was interesting. So
that's good. Okay, BOCES.
Okay, we had a meeting at Sheridan College, April 24th. The meeting was short and sweet. Mr. Accord gave a review of our balance sheet and income statements. We had an ending balance of $521.47 in assets, and basically that is just a pass-through of money. It goes out that month, so we don't keep it.
Okay, excellent. Questions on any of those? Or discussion on any of those reports? Okay, next up from the board. Discussions on other items that we need to hit tonight.
Mr. Chair.
Please.
Not a discussion, but I did want just to say, Maggie and Craig, thank you for stepping up this last year into those new roles that you took on. We really appreciate that, and you've done a great job, and we thank you for that.
Good call. Okay. What else we have? Mr. Super, we've got ESA, NIL, draft concealed carry policy.
So Travis, as a chair, do you want me to go through each one of these? Do you want a question and answer? What would you like to do?
Tell me your pleasure, board. Quick overview of each, or you want to dive in and get serious?
I say quick because these two probably don't even know
Yes,
what they're supposed to.
unfair start. Okay, just do a quick overview easily and go.
Okay, so the ESA account, that's something that's on the table with $7,000 that can be applied to private school or homeschool. They apply for that. The challenge you have as a board of trustees is, do we want to sign up to be an ESA provider and charge for courses? Or some districts are just making a hard no, you're either in or out. So those are conversations that I think we probably need to review the document that's in front of you so you know what your options are, because we're gonna have that hard decision on where you want me to go as a superintendent for the start of the school year. So I'll come back to the phrase, we're not the only competition in town. And so with that, there are some parameters around what the state is giving guidance to. And every district is a little bit different. Sharon 1, 2, and 3, and Johnson did have a conversation about if we do sign up, what that would look like and what we would charge, so that there's some consistency with that. So this is not something that we can just pass and just say whatever. I would encourage Travis as a board that we probably have an in-depth discussion in June about the direction you want to go as a board. I'm willing to have that individual conversation with you, but this is real. It's not going away. And more unfortunately, there's rules tied to that. So it's just, we need to decide where we're going to land. I think there's some exciting things because it is preschool, that maybe we could potentially open that door of getting funding similar to what we're already doing in Meadowlark. But kids taking classes at the high school that are taking these funds, there's rules behind that now. So you just, as a board, you want a clear cut 30-second overview, that the decision you're going to have to make on where we're headed with this. Okay?
Just a question now, the activities, that's just the WASHA activities. So
very clearly, it is the WASHA activities at the high school level only. Okay, not at middle school.
So Charles, what I read, it said that you can only charge what you charge the kids that are participating in those programs in school. So is that number 0?
Yeah, right now.
Yeah, that
Number 0.
Yeah. So I don't know how you could charge them unless you charge kids in school.
In district, correct.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's
for activities, but not for classes.
Correct, you're right.
Classes,
Yeah.
However, it's on the table, and I'm just going to be transparent about charging an activity fee. And if you're registered, that is waived. So there's lots of things that are on the table around the state. Okay. You can charge for middle school. Again, it's Wyoming High School Activities Association, so co-curricular, you can charge. So it's not just clear and simple what we perceive as WASHA supported, okay? So I want to be just transparent as ever. It's not all activities. Okay, if it's co-curricular or if they're charges, you can charge with that. So there's some misunderstanding. Homeschool has a different rule. ESA has some different rules. We are going to have to make a decision of where you want to land as a board with not only activities, but the academic piece. So it could be just a status quo if you want, which means you give a credit. We can say you're in or out. You're either a Johnson County, or we can charge fees. So there's some details we probably need to have a discussion with at the June work session. Okay?
Sounds like a workshop almost.
Mr. Chair.
Please.
Charles, I think that it would be super beneficial for all of us, but to kind of know what our current practice is. I know that we talk about it a lot, because like you just said that, like currently, and that goes for classes too, because you have kids integrating in throughout, right? Depending on what
That's why I think we can get into a lot of detail tonight, but I think it needs to be at a work session.
Just when we do the work session, like keep that in the back of your brain, like bring us.
Yeah.
I need some history too.
So contracts have to be created on deciding what we're going to do and not do, and it's not just a simple world.
No.
Okay. So that's ESA. So
well, hold on, Mr. Chair. Just to piggyback off of what Lynette said, that, and because this may or may not be time sensitive, is there a way for us to have an idea of what the demand for classes, like how many?
Yeah, we can look at that, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's minimal.
Yeah.
But the reality is, where are we headed? We can look that kind of stuff up and we can go from there.
I mean, we
Because
can.
I think it's gonna increase.
Because it's
So,
$7,000.
to be honest with you, I think those numbers are going to increase. So you'll have, and it's not just Johnson County, it's statewide. You're gonna see a lot more people take advantage of the ESA account and then want to kind of come and take some of the CTE courses and some of that. So I can see that being. The other part that I disagree with professionally is the fact is we don't have to provide FAPE with special ed if you take ESA. Somebody's gonna have to fight that in court, it's not gonna be me. But they created some statutes that I think, pretty sure they can't override federal law.
Yeah, they're gonna get smashed.
Anyway, we can talk about what that looks like.
Charles, do you know when you have to commit to ESA?
I want to have something in place by August.
No, I mean, so when does the family have to commit?
The window's open and I think that application process has already started. And I don't necessarily know, Dave, apologize if there's a deadline to that. So.
I'll try to apply for tonight.
I do know there's no deadline for us to apply to be an ESA provider.
So hang on, what you just said there, I didn't understand it. How can we become an ESA provider by charging for certain courses? Is that?
But you have to be registered. There's, as I always say, there's cables tied to that too.
I would hope as a district you could get registered very easily.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other questions on this one? Discussion board?
Okay, so another hot topic, then we'll get into the concealed weapons is the NIL.
Yeah.
That's something that we need to have a discussion at the next work session about where you land as a board. And so I can speak for you as a board of trustees on where you land with that. It's a AI generated fact document, which is very accurate according to what's happening with WASHA and what the rules are in nationwide. So I would encourage Travis, you as a board of trustees, that will probably be direction I need from you over the summer months because it is becoming, it will come up for a second reading in September, okay?
Just gave us summer school. Yeah, all right, yes, you're right.
All right, and then draft policies, that's a section I'd like you to look at. So this is where we're standing with concealed carry, House Bill 172.
Yeah.
That's the direction, that's a policy I'm recommending to you as a board of trustees that we put into place, that open carry is not allowed, it just really follows the statutes. It's in protection for you, so to summarize everything here, any adult can carry. I know there's provisions in there that the school district can require training, but still by statute, any adult can carry. So this is kind of taken a different approach. It puts the responsibility back onto anybody that chooses to do it. I can see there's going to be some legal battles, some misinterpretations of that. But again, Travis, these will probably be hard conversations, but these are policies I'd like to have in place by the start of the school year. So it's a policy and it's also a recommendation to put in the employee handbook.
Do we need it prior to that? There was some talk in here about offering training, not requiring or mandating, but offering training.
Still gonna offer training in July 21st, the week of July.
Okay, whether we've got a policy in place or not. Okay, I like it. Other questions on this one, gang, or discussion? Anybody? All right.
What we haven't got is an answer from insurance, what insurance is gonna cost, correct, Connie? Okay. So some districts have already heard back from their carriers. So this section of the normal policy has been eliminated and it's a add-on, in some cases $20,000 to $30,000 add-on to this new state statute, which again comes back out of states not funding something they mandated. So that's a potential of additional funding that you need to be aware of.
So will this policy go like through the same process that all of our other policies? Like, is that are you going to require?
So the policy committee, honestly, is done for the summer. So
yes, how does that work? Because we have to, if we want to implement
this is something we've agreed upon that if it's something through state statute,
then we'll just
law. That's kind of where we're at.
All right, perfect.
But we can always run it across them back in the fall. If we don't feel super solid on it, we can hand it over and ask them to review it for us.
So just to be transparent, all this does is cover us liability.
Yeah. Yeah.
This just covers us from saying it's the employee's responsibility if they choose to carry.
Okay.
So this is a piece that puts the responsibility back on them. Now, just so you know, we can go the other route, but then that's not a policy, it's a rule. Which means you're gonna have several community meetings. You're gonna be tied to the training that's required, but the end result, in my personal opinion, doesn't mean anything because the result is state statute says anybody can consider carry.
That's right. Okay, any other questions, discussions, ideas there? All right, next up, June 4th, geez, tripping over tongue. June 4th, special session, work session. Here at 4:15, am I right? 5:15, right. And the topics, I will come up with some, we've covered several lists now that we're gonna have to hit. Okay? June 9th, board meeting in KC. So June 9th, we'll go down to KC for the show. All right. Nothing else on either of those. We are to public comment. Have we any public comment? None. All right, next up, executive session. I need a motion.
Make a motion to move into executive session for Wyoming Statute 16-4-405, AIII, for personal and legal matters.
Thank you. Do I hear a second? All right, motion Dave and second Marcia to enter executive session. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Short break, let's reconvene after a moment. Yeah, we're gonna get a minute, yes.
Prove me wrong.
Oh, I did get the estimate.